It's still recording. You ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, it's Eric and
Roy.
And thanks for checking out another Hatchet Cast episode. And today we're going to be talking about the Vortex 4.5 to 27 Razor HD Gen 2 first focal plane with an EBR 7C mill reticle. That was a mouthful. Good to have you back, Roy.
Feels good to be back.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Well, before we get into it, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so that way you get an update on new episodes. We've heard from folks that, hey, they haven't been getting updates, so make sure you hit the notification bell. That's going to give you an alert whenever we're dropping an episode. If you are looking for a schedule, we drop every Monday at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But let's roll into the disclaimer.
Yeah, so this optic was provided to us by Optics Planet. So thank you, Optics Planet. So this video is sponsored by Optics Planet. And if you're looking for a deal on Vortex scopes right now, jump over to their website. I know they have their cash bucks back right now and then some pretty solid discounts on their Vortex optics.
Yeah.
So.
We also do have a discount code with them, so check the description in below. And I believe also specifically there's a discount for Vortex on Optics Planet.
Nice.
So make sure you save some money.
Double discount.
Double D.
Double D's.
Double down discount.
Double down discount.
All right. So let's your favorite. Let's jump right in the specs.
Yeah, I love specs. Fantastic.
All right. So for magnification, we got 4.5 to 27 power. And the reticle that we're running in this optic is the EBR7C mill reticle. Now, that was something that you requested specifically.
Yeah, so let's stop at the EBR7C. I have ran that reticle for quite some time shooting PRS. This here is one of my PRS rifles. This is a Defiance Action. Just recently rechambered by my gunsmith to 308. This was sitting as a 6mm BR, but yanked that barrel out of it, put a 308 barrel in it. I do believe this is a Bartline barrel, sitting at 20 inches, and then in a Manor stock with an Area 4.1 ARCA rail, and then a Warren Tactical ARCA bipod on it. So for you guys that are going to ask, what about that rifle? What is it? So eventually it will be painted. Yes, I know.
That's how you fully commit.
We may Cerakote it though.
Ow!
What do you think? Or just spray paint?
Just spray paint it.
Just spray paint it. Okay. But anyway, so yeah, this is a scope that I've ran quite often in shooting PRS before I moved over to shooting the Leupold Mark V.
Right.
Okay. Didn't move away from this scope for any kind of downfalls, so I have a lot of experience behind it. I actually enjoy the scope a lot. It's still to this day probably one of my favorite. And actually, I really like the EBR7C reticle. Gives you a ton of information if you're looking to get into the long range game when it comes to your wind holds and stuff like that. Your wind holds in this are broken down in 0.2 of a mil. So that's nice. We start to get a little bit more refined. And an optic like this, going back to something like we typically, it's honestly really pleasant, right? We're typically usually shooting like 0.5 mil holds. Optics or sometimes even 1 mil hold or red dot magnifiers that have absolutely nothing going on in there.
Nothing hold.
Like, nothing hold. Holding in no man's land. So it is nice to have something like that. It's your typical Christmas tree style reticle. Eric will put one up on the screen so you can see what it looks like. But your typical Christmas tree style reticle, you have a nice fine dot in the center. I do believe that the measurement on that's like 0.04 MRAD mils, so it's very, very nice and
Which is something that we also really look for in that crosshair, is we want to have a nice fine center point. So like
I like a dot in the center 100%. For me. This one does have an illuminated reticle. The only time I have actually ever used the illuminated reticle in this scope or even in my Leupolds is in low light situations or clip-on thermals in front, and then the other would be like complete night shoots. Ghost 5 Tactical hosts a charity shoot every year in our area. I do believe he's even done it at the arena in Georgia or something like that. But it's a really, really fun shoot, and he illuminates the targets, and basically at the shooter everything's completely dark, blackout, and then the only thing that is illuminated is the target.
Yeah,
so,
we had some guys that were running non-illuminated reticles, and they suffered for it. They pretty much had to dial everything.
Yeah, you have to dial anything, and you can't even really define the center line of your reticle. So it is nice to have the illumination in your reticle. As far as it being daylight bright, I couldn't tell you because I'll probably never turn it on during the day. Just utilizing it in a low light or no light type situation.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with these scopes too, you're not really using it for daylight brightness. It's going to be for that low light, which the Ghost 5 Tactical Match was a great. I was honestly the first time I actually truly used it in a like competition type setting to actually use my reticle lit up with the illumination.
The first time I shot one of those matches was after I shot it with a non-illuminated reticle, and at that particular point in time, after that, I was like, I'll never buy another scope. Regardless if it's daylight bright or not, it will have a lume in it just for this like low light type shooting like that. This scope has a 34 millimeter tube, so it's nice and beefy. It's going to give you plenty of adjustment. You have what is it? 33 mils basically, 33 mils of elevation adjustment. So plenty there, plenty of windage also at the same time. So
I think the one thing that I liked about as far as speaking of the tube size is it's 34. It gives you a huge eye box, which Vortex is known for, that huge eye box. But at the same time, like 35 millimeter is nice. It's a little bit bigger, but it's so hard to find rings for those. It's starting to get a little bit more popular.
It is becoming more common. I mean, with the, for the, gas gun type stuff, you got Badger Ordnance out there now, and American Defense and Reptilia Corp building them, and then in the precision world wise goes, Vortex obviously does them. So there are becoming more and more companies building high quality rings. What rings do we run on here? I don't
These are the Hawkins Precision rings.
Hawkins Precisions. Optics Planet sent those to us too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It has a little bubble level in it. Obviously, it's being blocked by the trigger cam right now. But they seem to be pretty solid rings. Yeah, it was actually super solid. Zero shift. Actually, I had the actual Picatinny on the actual action came loose, so I had, but the scope didn't. So I had to actually take the scope rings off, or scope off with the rings on them, tighten that down with some little bit of Loctite, and then put that back together. That was probably from when we put the rifle back together. After rebarreling it. That we probably didn't honestly go back through and check all our specs on everything. So we were kind of in a hurry to put this rifle back together so we can get some reps on. So Eric could actually get some reps on this glass because I've had years of usage on it.
Well, when Optics Planet reached out to us, I was like, "What do you want to review?" And you're like, "The EBR-7C."
I mean, it was an optic that I have tons of experience behind. Needed another optic for. I'm going to get Eric into shooting PRS shooting competitions, so he's never done something like that. So he'll be running this rifle right here. We decided to do it in 308 because we have a ton of 308 ammo. But yeah. 34 millimeter tube, like we said, 4.5 to 27 magnification, 56 millimeter objective. Does come with a sunshade in the box, correct?
Which I left in the box.
They do come in handy. I've used them before in the past, but
I like rule number 1. I don't think it looks good, but
certain situations. Eye relief is good on this scope. I do believe that they advertise roughly right about 3.5 inches as far as eye relief, but. Now, here's where most people complain about the Vortex optics, is how much they weigh.
It's beefy.
It is beefy. So, I don't really have a problem with the weight. It's not because I work out a lot and do a lot of curls or anything like that.
Curls for the girls.
Curls for the girls, try it for the guys. I don't really care about the weight, especially in a system like this, because I'm probably not lugging this thing around the woods. This is, a setup and just shoot rifle, and honestly this one's primarily geared more towards competition shooting anyway,
which is all that extra weight with the weight of the gun itself is already heavy, just adds with some recoil reduction, so a little bit more weight that kind of adds to that. But it also, if you're planning on backpacking out somewhere, this might be something that you may be concerned as far as weight.
I'm probably not going to take this scope on a out west and lug it around on an elk hunt or or something like that. I'm probably going to go with something a little bit different. But that being said, for this scenario, for what this optic is built for, with the quality of the glass that's in it, it's a solid piece.
I mean, I think one of the things that is also a cool feature with your parallax, and this is something that I think Vortex does with a lot of their glass, if not all of them, is they give you a really low parallax adjustment, Can you talk about a little bit why that's kind of nice for you?
One of the reasons why I like it is just for dry fire practice.
Yeah.
Dry fire practice, not dry fire.
Drier fire.
Drier fire practice. Dry fire practice. So that's one of the reasons why I like it. I've also ran this scope. I know this is like extremely overkill. So I've shot 22 NLR matches. If you've seen my 22 NLR rifle, you'd be like, what the heck are you doing, dude? Why you have like $6,000 in a 22?
Because he can.
Because I can. It's America.
Yeah.
So
drier fire.
So. Drier fire. So NRL 22 matches, it's nice to have that low parallax like that, because sometimes you're going to be engaging targets inside of 100 yards. Dry fire practice with it is great. Having limited space inside your house to even just level out your scope. I typically like to do a plumb line when I'm leveling out my scope and shining a flashlight back through, or looking through my glass on a plumb line, just to kind of line my reticle up. So it's nice having that low parallax adjustment like that.
Even for like, if you're like law enforcement application, you know, you've got a lot of your targets are in closer distance, having where you can have that parallax adjust to a lower yardage is really
beneficial. And in a law enforcement, you know, type sniper scenario, generally speaking, you're inside of 100 yards. Weight doesn't really come into concern, or any of that kind of stuff like that. Inside that 100 yards, having that ability to, what's this, all the way down to 25 yards, I do believe, or something like that.
It goes down to 32.
32. So 32 to infinity. So adjustments, standard, you know, 1/10 MRAD mil adjustments. So a total of 10 of them for 1 mil. Nice solid clicks.
I mean, super solid.
Super solid. Locks too, right?
Yeah, it locks really good. I mean, it's pretty stiff right now, but when you listen, let's listen.
Get really close. Oh yeah. Actually, that was quite vocal.
Oh, really? Yeah. It's super nice, very tactical. And actually, one of the things that I also look whenever I set this scope up to shoot was how simple is it to do the zero stop.
Yeah, I was just about ready to ask, what did you think? Because you're the one that zeroed this, you set it all up.
Dude, I mean, other Vortex, like their older generation, was so confusing and there's no information. Like, you can't find any videos. Maybe we should do a zero stop video for certain optics, but like the zero stop on this is awesome. I think Vortex
learned.
They did.
They listened to their customer base, and they, you know, in the manual now, it's really simple. They also provide you all the tools that you need.
They do.
The Vortex tool that comes in the box actually is really cool.
Yeah, it's actually really nice.
I usually take one of those and drill a little hole in it and put it on my keyring.
Yeah, the one thing I know about the older Vortex stuff, if you had a zero stop to install it, you usually had to take the cap off and then zero. And then
set it.
Yeah. So like,
but this is really simple.
This was super easy, I love the locks on this as well. And then the fact that you have those real easy tactile clicks was making it super certain. And just overall the ruggedness of the turrets themselves, you can tell it's like it is a quality piece of glass and equipment.
What price mark? Obviously, this is a premium piece of glass. I do believe you're roughly around about $3,600 as far as MSRP if you're on Vortex's website. If you were paying $3,600 for it, you're obviously not going to Optic Planet's website.
Yeah, go check out Optic Planet.
It's probably going to be closer to that $2,400 type price range. The last I checked, or the last one that I bought from Optic Planet for one of my systems.
Yeah, and also add that discount code on there, and that will even take it down some more.
Yeah. They usually typically have free shipping also. So
yeah, and you get those bonus bucks. I've never used the bonus bucks.
I use them all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dang. So. As far as the with my Zoom, I guess for application, you know, we're running this on a 308.
This is a little different than, not to interrupt you, but this is a little different than what you guys are used to from this. This is Eric and myself bridging out into, well, not necessarily me. This is me forcing Eric to bridge out into a world that he's not necessarily comfortable with. PRS style shooting is something that I enjoy. It's something that I have a passion for. And it's like, hey, you know, we've been doing it for a while, more precision rifle shooting with gas guns. You know, Eric's went down that road in the journey. So now it's like, hey, let's throw a bolt gun in your hand. Let's go shoot some matches. And so we grab one of my rifles, put it together, and it's like, hey, we need a piece of glass for this thing. So this is something a little different than what you're going to be used to seeing us run. You'll probably see it a little more often. We plan on shooting, you know, at least a half a dozen matches between the rest of this year and next year. to really get some more time, and Eric can kind of experience it a little bit more.
And that, to kind of speak to that fact also, like this goes back into, yes, pushing myself, you know, getting comfortable in your weapon systems and running those all the time. It's good to branch out and just make you even more well-rounded. And then competitions are a great way to test your training to see if it's paid off.
We talk about trying to be a very well-rounded shooter. At the end of the day, I'll probably never be an absolute master of any, because I focus on too many different types of skill sets. But I want to know how to shoot everything. You know, I do want to know how to run a wheel gun. I want to know how to run a bolt gun. I want to know how to read a mil reticle. I want to know how to range stuff outside of just utilizing a rangefinder. You know, we run the SIG Kilo rangefinders, and they're friggin' fantastic. They're awesome. They give you all the data that you can possibly have.
They're smarter than me.
They're
doesn't say much.
He's a lefty. So.
I like to call it southpaw. It sounds better.
Southpaw. But yeah, so this is something a little different. You know, kind of branching out into. For me, something that I haven't done in a little while. Kind of took a break from it. Really started focusing in on other skill sets like night vision and gas guns, shooting distance, and pistol heavy focused. Pistol heavy focus. So it was like time. Let's get back into a bolt gun.
Yeah, and it's also refreshing because the optic, with the gas guns, running those for so long.
How easy is this?
It is like, gosh, like there's just so much information in the reticle that I've desired, and out of like a 2 to 10. But I get it now. Finally,
you can appreciate it now.
I can appreciate it now.
All of the hard times that you've run guns and ran systems that are not as precision, or optics that are not quite as precision as this, that give you as much information here. Like, do you find that this is too much information?
No, it's actually I'm in heaven right now because it has all the information I've wanted for a while, and then also like practicing the precision stuff with the gas gun stuff. You have to work harder because it's a less precise system. So going to one of these systems, you're just like, man, that's easy.
Most definitely. So. And they even offer this optic, I do believe, with a like a trimmer 3 reticle in it. So if you're the individual that's looking for even more information, I really like the trimmer 3 reticle. It really starts to gives me more data, gives me more feedback, and it's we've talked about it before in the past. As you grow as a shooter, there are things you can't buy capability. Okay, but one of the things that you can do is you can buy things that complement you. So if you have the budget for it. I was using this analogy earlier with Eric, because we had this discussion recently with night vision. Okay, night vision is obviously very, very expensive, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you can tie up a ton of money in night vision. You can spec stuff out. You can sit here and spend days and hours trying to research specs and all of that. You're not. By researching all these specs, it's great. It fills your time. It's fantastic, but at the end of the day, if you're not out there putting the reps in, you're not earning any capability. You're not leveling up any whatsoever. You can go and buy the bombest computer that you can possibly buy or build out to play whatever video game you're going to play, Call of Duty, Fortnite, or whatever it may be that you're going to do. You can build the biggest, baddest freaking gaming system that you can and throw the highest resolution, have the best network where you're not going to have any lag or anything like that. But if you suck at playing video games,
you'll just suck.
It doesn't matter.
You'll suck in great quality.
You just spent $6,000 on your computer. And you still suck. Okay. And it goes into shooting the same thing. If you go and spend, you spend $10,000 and you waste your entire money on $10,000 worth of night vision, and you can't afford to train with that night vision because you've blown your entire amount of money whatsoever. Same thing goes. You buy a $3,000 optic or something like that. Now I've blown all my money and I can't afford to train with it. I can't afford to buy the ammo. I can't afford that. So all this comes. Yes, this can complement a shooter. Okay, we're not buying capability here. We're buying things that complement the shooter's capability.
If I had started before doing the gas gun distance journey, I would not have appreciated the reticle as much as I did.
Appreciated that whatsoever.
Before. So yeah, it's just in my journey.
You've worked up to this.
Correct. Yes, I have worked up to appreciating the amount of information that this gives me. And in fact, it's so much information that it's almost like this should be the type of glass that I'd be using to shoot a mile. You know what I'm saying? Like the facility we shoot at right now.
Well, it is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can easily. This same piece of glass, the first time I ever got a hit at a mile was actually with a 6.5 Creedmoor with the 4.5 to 25 version of this. Now they have it's obviously the 27 power, but that was actually the first optic that I shot a mile with my 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah, and it's definitely the type of glass that can get you at that furthest distance. So
easily.
Like, it's one of those things. The other thing I loved about this scope was, you know, understanding. Everybody says, you know, in the reviews, oh, the glass is clear. Okay, well, what does that mean? Because all the glass, if you're in the optic business, you should already have clear glass.
Yeah,
you know,
if you don't have clear glass and you're still building optics.
Yeah, just try to,
you know, everywhere. So like there's a lot of good quality glass that's out there now.
And the one thing that I saw that's like a major identifier of glass that's extremely well built and put together well is the fact that I can cut through that mirage a lot better than other types of glass, where the mirage is kind of a buffer and I can't really see past it, but the high quality optics, I can cut through that mirage and be able to see a lot more detail at distance.
Yeah.
So
I like it. And personally, if you're in the budget for, you know, looking to spend roughly $2,500 for a piece of glass to throw on a, for me, this is a bolt gun. I mean, it's definitely more of a precision piece of glass. I'm probably not necessarily buying the 4.5 to 27 to throw on a gas gun, unless I have a gas gun that can complement it.
Yeah, complement glass.
Maybe the 3, I think it's like a 3.5 to 18 or something like that. I may lean in that direction for that, but this particular one here, it's definitely going on a bolt gun. And I think obviously most of you guys that are watching this video, that's probably the reason why you're watching it, is to throw it on your precision rifle.
Yeah, so. Or you're just getting into it like me and trying to figure out what works and what's good. So I mean, the other thing also is your glass should be a big part of your budget when you're trying to do a build, especially a bolt gun or precision build. Oh yeah. You know, how much of if you had a budget, how much of that budget do you think would go
There's a lot of rack rifles out there that you can just walk into a gun shop and pick up. You can go pick up a T3X, and if you as a shooter can shoot sub MOA and your ammo can shoot sub MOA, so a shooter, so they need to put some reps in. Yep. They need to train, so you need to get out and train. So you as a shooter, if you can shoot sub MOA, you can buy a sub $1,000 rifle pretty easily, and go shoot PRS with it if you chose to do so. If I'm probably buying that $1,000 rifle, I'm actually probably still putting something like this on top of it. So if I have the budget. If I don't have the budget, then then I'm looking in another direction. I'm looking at like the Vortex Viper PST Gen 2s. That glass is super clear too. It's I do believe they're made like in the Philippines, but the glass that's coming out of the Philippines is great. I mean, it's really good. So.
What are some final thoughts that you have about the glass in general?
It is tough. You're like in this level basically, kind of where you're at. When you're getting into this price range, there's not there's not a whole lot that goes out and beats like what the Vortex glass offers. Now, are there some that match it? Right. Yes. But I can't really think of, I mean, you can jump up into a Smith & Bender or something like that. But I don't even believe, a lot of the Night Forces and stuff like that will physically beat the quality of the glass itself. So you can spend $3,000 or $3,500 or, you can buy a Collis, and spend more money. There obviously is as high as your budget wants to go. Right. But when you're talking about in that $2,500 type price range, roughly, of what this is, it's competing with me personally, I feel like it's competing with those. You're cutting hairs. Yeah, so. At that point. Yeah, and then it's just about how much money you want to spend and what your brand you like. There's top level shooters. There's some of the best shooters in the entire world shooting PRS out there that are not running $4,000 and $5,000 scopes. They're running the Vortex Viper, or not Vortex Viper, the Vortex Razor HD Gen 2.
Alright guys, so hopefully you enjoyed that Hatchet Cast episode. As always, like we always say, make sure you go out and you check us on Instagram for any behind the scenes type information about what's upcoming and what we have coming down the pipe, as well as updates about training and schedules for our classes. Also, go check out the video description below to make sure you get any discount codes with our affiliates, save some of that money. And also make sure you go check out on Twitter, which I think we call it X now. Go check us out there. We do post there as well as just comment below your experience with any vortex glass that you have, especially if you're in the bolt gun realm and you're starting to get into it, or you're already in the bolt gun realm. What lessons have you learned? Make sure you comment below your experiences. Also, don't forget to check us out on Rumble, and also we will start posting here again soon on the Spotify podcast, the Hatchet Cast podcast. So as always, guys, make sure you go out and train. Make sure that you are the asset and not the liability, and we will see you on the next one.